There is a beige phone on my kitchen wall. I never installed it. It is ringing. By the time you finish this, you'll know exactly who's on the other end, and you'll know why I can't remember my own daughter's face anymore. There were 5 people in a Christmas photo, in my own handwriting on the back. Tonight I can only place 2 of them, and the thing on that line is about to ask me for what's left. I took the graveyard shift because the daytime was too loud. That's the whole reason. 8 months after the divorce, I couldn't stand a room with people in it. The day floor at Tessival Systems was 40 cubicles of noise and managers walking the aisles, and I couldn't. So I asked for nights, 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. Nobody fights you for the graveyard shift. They handed it to me like I'd done them a favor, and it was good. I want you to understand that part, because it matters later. The graveyard shift has a rhythm to it. Slower, quieter, almost holy if I'm honest. 8 agents on headset, scattered across a floor built for 200. Product returns, billing disputes, some retiree in another time zone trying to cancel a subscription he forgot he had. I'd walk the rows with a lukewarm coffee and watch the parking lot empty out until 2 a.m., when it was just my car and the streetlight and the mods. A ringing phone in a room full of people trained to answer phones never feels like a threat. That's the thing nobody tells you. By the time something wrong finally comes down the line, you've spent months being conditioned to just pick up. It's the job. The phone rings, your hand moves. The first call came on a Monday. I remember it was a Monday because I'd been there long enough that the weeks had started to blur, and Monday was the only night that still had an edge to it. The dread of a fresh week. 2:22 a.m. My supervisor line lit up. I looked at the system log because that's Reflex. Every call shows you where it's coming from. This one read, incoming internal extension 000. There is no extension 0. I knew the building directory by heart by then. Every internal line runs from 101 to 447. There is no extension 0. There's no extension 0 in any phone system I've ever seen. I answered it anyway. Reflex. The phone rings. Your hand moves. The voice was calm. I need you to hear that the way I heard it. Because if it had whispered, if it had hissed, if it had done a single one of the things a voice is supposed to do in a story like this, I would have hung up and laughed about it the next day. It didn't. It was calm in a very specific way. The way a man sounds when the conversation you're about to have has already been planned out, and he's just waiting for you to catch up. It knew my name. It asked for the supervisor. I said, that's me. And it said, good. I'd like to discuss an arrangement. I should have hung up. I want that on the record. But it was 2 a.m. and the floor was dead quiet, and I'd been awake long enough that nothing felt entirely real. So when it asked me, what do you want most in the world, right now, tonight? I didn't hang up. I laughed. And then, half as a joke, the way you'd answer one of those fortune teller machines at a diner, I said the truth. I said, I want my daughter to call me. My daughter is 16. Her name is Lily. She stopped returning my calls 2 years ago, somewhere in the wreckage of the divorce, and I had stopped leaving them. Because there's only so many times a man can listen to his own voice ask a child to call him back. So that's what I said. I want my daughter to call me. The voice said, doable, like a contractor giving a quote. And then it said, and in exchange, I'd like what you won't miss. I hung up. I told myself it was a wrong number, or a prank, or one of the day shift kids, messing with the phone system. I went back to walking the rows. I forgot about it by the time the sun came up. 6 days later, on a Sunday evening, my phone rang at home. Not a text, a call. The screen said Lily. She wanted to get lunch. She sounded like herself, exactly like herself, like no time had passed at all. She didn't mention the 2 years. I didn't push it. Because you don't. Because when something you've prayed for finally happens, you don't interrogate it. You just hold still and let it be true. I sat in my driveway after that call and cried for 10 minutes before I could go inside. I did not connect it to extension 0. I want you to understand, I am not the kind of man who connects things like that. I'm the kind of man who reads the entire user agreement before he clicks accept. I read fine print for a living, and I did not connect it. It called again the next Monday, and the Monday after that, always after 2 a.m., always the same calm voice, always the same affect, and this is the part that still turns my stomach. The affect of a billing department, polite, procedural, like a man reading from a script he's read 1,000 times. It would remind me, politely, that I had agreed to an arrangement. I'd say I agreed to nothing, and it would say every time the same words. You accepted the terms when you named what you wanted. You received it within the agreed window. The exchange is ongoing. And then it would offer me something new. The credit card debt I'd been dragging behind me for 6 years, $34,000, gone. I never said yes. I checked the account on a Tuesday, and the balance was zero, and the bank had no record of a payment. My brother Paul, who I hadn't spoken to since our father's funeral, called me out of nowhere, laughing, like the fight had never happened. The day shift manager job, the one I'd wanted for years, opened up, and it was mine before I'd even applied. I accepted none of it, not consciously, not out loud, but it happened anyway. And every Monday, after 2 a.m., Extension 0 called to confirm. You received it. The first thing I lost, I didn't even notice losing. There was an agent who'd worked my floor for 2 years, Rachel. I went to put her on a callback list one night, and I couldn't. I could not produce her last name. I sat there with my pen on the page and nothing came. I figured I was tired. But then I tried to picture her face, and I got a headset, a monitor, a blue cardigan she wore. And where the face should have been, there was nothing. Not a blur. Nothing. Like reaching into a coat pocket you're certain has keys in it, and closing your hand on air. I called HR the next day to pull her file. They told me there was no employee by that name on the overnight roster. Never had been. I searched for her online. Nothing. 2 years of working 20 feet from a person, and the world had no record that she'd existed, and neither, I was starting to realize, did I. Then it was a college roommate. I could remember the dorm room perfectly, the loft bed, the mini fridge that buzzed, the poster he had over his desk. I found the photograph on my refrigerator. It's me at a birthday party. I'm laughing. My arm is around someone. You can see it. The angle of my shoulder, my hand resting on air at the height of a person's waist, except there's no person there. And here's the thing that put me on the floor of my own kitchen. It's not cropped. It's a 4x6 print. There's no torn edge, no scissor line, no white border where someone cut a body out. The person is just gone from inside the picture. My arm is around a space, and the space is white. I sat down right there on the linoleum, and I started writing names. Names I still had, even though the faces were gone. Sandra, Pete, Brett, Rachel, a man named Gus, who I am absolutely certain I loved. I don't know how I know that, I just know it, the way you know a word is on the tip of your tongue. 17 names. I've lived 41 years. A man makes maybe 30 real friends in a life if he's lucky. And I sat on my kitchen floor and I did the math, and I had a list of 17 people I could no longer see. I tried to stop answering on Mondays. It called my cell phone instead. I tried leaving the building, drove across the lot to the Wawa, and sat in the fluorescent light buying coffee I didn't want. And the payphone in the lobby rang, the one nobody's used in 15 years. And when I picked it up, the voice said, "You're a difficult man to keep on the line, Marcus. Let's continue." It told me once, the only thing it ever told me plainly. It said the arrangement is ongoing until you have nothing left to give. I sat down with the notebook one night, and I tried to do what I'm good at. I tried to read the terms. I laid the gifts out in order. The day Lily called, the week the debt cleared, the morning Paul phoned me laughing, and next to each one I wrote down when a person had gone missing from my head. And the dates lined up, every single time. The week Lily called me back was the week I stopped being able to picture my sister. The debt cleared, and Gus went. Gus, whoever he was, the man I loved. Paul came home, and Rachel emptied out of the world like she'd never clocked in. That's the part it never said out loud, and that's the part that's the worst, because it means I should have known. The price was never money. It was never abstract, never what you won't miss, or the weight you've been carrying. The price was a person. Every good thing it gave me, it carved a human being out of my life to pay for it, and it let me feel grateful while it did. It let me cry in my driveway with joy on the exact night it was reaching into me and taking my sister out by the roots. I still don't fully understand what's happening to me. If your skin is crawling right now, if some part of you is already cataloging the people you'd never let go of, there's a new story on this channel every night, and you should be here for them. Stay with me. The worst of it is the part I haven't told you yet. Because that brings me to tonight, to this kitchen, to why I'm talking into my phone at 2:14 in the morning instead of sleeping. I found the Christmas photo in my jacket pocket this evening. Christmas 2019. My own handwriting on the back. Mom, Dad, me, Sandra, Pete. 5 people. I can account for 2 of them. My mother, myself. The other 3 are names attached to nothing. Sockets I can press my tongue against and feel the shape of, and nothing more. I picked up my phone to call my sister. The contact's right there. Sis, I dialed it. The number you have dialed has been disconnected. I scrolled up through hundreds of text messages from a contact named Brett, and I read them, and I swear to you, the individual words made sense, but strung together they were a language I'd forgotten I ever spoke. And then I looked at the refrigerator. Lily's drawings are still up there, from when she was 8. Crayon, a sun with a face, a dog, her handwriting at the bottom, to Daddy. I can see the drawings, I can read her name. I cannot right now remember what my daughter's face looks like. I picked up my phone to call her, to hear her voice, because if I could hear her voice, maybe the face would come back. The call connected. It rang once. And then it played a tone I have never heard a phone make. Not a disconnection, not a busy signal. A hold tone, like I'd been placed in a queue. I don't have a wall phone. I have never had a landline in this apartment. But there is a beige phone mounted on my kitchen wall, by the door, exactly where you'd put one in 1994. And I have no memory of it being there an hour ago, and no memory of it ever being there at all. And it is ringing. The little display on it, those phones didn't have displays, but this one does, reads extension 000. I'm gonna answer it. I know I'm gonna answer it the same way I knew it that first night, because the phone rings and the hand moves, and I have spent my whole life being a man who picks up. It's gonna be the calm voice. It's gonna confirm I received what I wanted. It's gonna tell me the contract is almost closed and that there's one thing left. One last thing I genuinely want, and it's gonna offer it to me and ask for what remains. And what remains is Lily. Or it's me, the part of me that still knows I had a daughter at all. One of those 2 is the last thing in the account. I've been sitting here, doing the fine print in my head, the way I always do, reading the terms before I click accept. And I just realized something, and I needed to say it out loud before I pick up, so that somewhere there's a record. It already asked me what I want most in the world. I already answered. I answered 8 months ago, on a Monday, at 2:22 in the morning. I said I wanted my daughter to call me. I think that's the call. I think it's been the call this whole time. I think when I lift this handset, it's going to be her voice, really her, the way it really was her in the driveway. And I am going to be so happy to hear it that I won't notice I've just handed over the last thing I had. The ringing stopped. I didn't touch it. It stopped on its own. And a voice in this kitchen, close, behind me, calm, in the specific way of a conversation that was always going to end here, said, "Dad." I don't remember her face, but God help me, I turned around. If this one's going to keep you up tonight, subscribe. I post a new story every night, and there's always something on the other end of the line.